it's been publicised quite a lot. Me Inactivity all last year. At the end of the day, I want to get out and I want to fight.
He's proved himself on the world stage and he's accepted the fights for the big fights, and he was just sat there and being left to sit on the shelf and not be out there.
Imagine Frank delivers that world title and we win that world title. It's just like it'd be like a fairy tale ending to a long, frustrating career, but it'll turn out to be a great career.
Frank has got a record of delivering world title opportunities and world titles, and I think him and George and the whole setup will deliver for Callum Johnson.
All right, welcome to the Lowdown, brought to you by Unibet. I'm Dev Sahni, and joining me today is a brand new signing for Queensbury. He's a former British and Commonwealth light heavyweight champion, former world title challenger. He came this close to dethroning Arthur Beterbiev. With him, it's his trainer and manager, Joe Gallagher. It is, of course, light heavyweight contender, Callum Johnson. Gents, how are we?
All good, mate. All good, mate.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Well, look, Callum, I'm going to come to you first, right? How did this come about? How did this move to Queensbury come about from your perspective?
Well, it's been publicised quite a lot. Me Inactivity all last year. At the end of the day, I want to get out and I want to fight. And I was talking to Joe and we was watching what Frank was doing, especially with the light heavyweights. And I was watching the BT sports shows and I was thinking, I want to be a part of that. I want to be busy. I want to be active. And, I spoke to Joe and Joe reached out, and Joe, I got to thank Joe as well, because, Joe got out there and spoke to people, and he's got me work, and we're ready to go.
Well, Joe, you're not just the sort of manager that sits by and takes his percentage. I think we know this about you now. You're always banging the drum for your fighter. You're on the interviews. You're getting interest in your fighters. From your perspective, how did this come about with Callum Johnson?
As Eddie did say, he didn't have a contract with Matchroom, although he did fight on Matchroom shows. Obviously, he won the Commonwealth and the British, and Eddie got in the fight with Beterbiev. We then, after that, fought Shawnee Monaghan. After that, then the plan was to fight Joe Smith. That never came about. Then they offered us Bivol. That didn't come about. Then there was a European fight that got made. Then we were asked to take less money. And then it was just the period of inactivity, really. I know it was the same for a lot of people, lockdown, pandemic and everything, but we've got a Callum Johnson there who's proved himself on the world stage and he's accepted the fights for the big fights, and he was just sat there and being left to sit on the shelf and not be out there. And his performances in America versus BTF and Shawnee Monaghan, people were telling me they registered very well. He got a lot of fans over there and they all warmed to him. And the times when he's fought here in England, when he beat Frank Buglione, destroyed him in a round. And when he won the Commonwealth, in the few fights he's had, he hasn't failed to deliver. It brings excitement, brings power, and it brings a knockout. And we weren't a case of sitting around waiting for other people to decide when it was right to use Callum Johnson. Callum Johnson's a dad, he's got a family, and he needs to work, and everyone needs to work. Times are hard, and we, as Callum said there, we were watching what Frank was doing with BT, and I think watching the Yarde and Arthur fight, and the Denzel Bentley, Heffron, and the Joyce and that, and Callum's like, come on, like Eddie said there, like there's no work, no one's following everything else. I need to get some work. So I said, all right, and Callum, let me reach out and see what it is. And I'm pleased for Callum, and I think Callum's pleased because that's who he started with. He started with Frank, and that's a journey, and he's going back to him now. And it's Frank has got a record of delivering world title opportunities and world titles, and I think him and George and the whole setup will deliver for Callum Johnson. And he's usually excited. He's in the gym, he's training, and it's just like a new prospect turning pro. The enthusiasm and that's coming from him at the moment. It's really good to see the kid with a smile on his face again.
Well, Callum, as Joe mentioned there, your career did start with Frank. I think I've heard you talk about how yourself and your dad went to visit Frank way back when, back in the day. Do you feel like something is kind of clicking into place now, that it looks like if you're going to win a world title, it's going to be with Frank now?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of. I'm not really a massive, I'm not one of these that always think, oh, it's written in the stars and it's all fate. But it's kind of looking that way a little bit. It's kind of like it started there, and then we went here, and now we're back there. And imagine Frank delivers that world title and we win that world title. It's just like it'd be like a fairy tale ending to a long, frustrating career, but it'll turn out to be a great career. And I am excited. I'm looking forward to it. And again, I'm just excited.
How have you kept yourself motivated? I mean, the last fight, the last time we've seen you in the ring, I think it was now March 2019. Long time ago. It's almost coming up to 2 years.
I don't know. Because I've got ambitions, I've got goals, and like as Joe mentioned, I've got a family to feed as well. But I said previous, when me and my dad's always, like say, through boxing, it's always been me and my dad. We've always had other people, obviously, and we've always set goals from being a young kid. We've always set goals, and I've always managed to achieve them. And like, as I say, we haven't achieved the goal we set this time out. We set the goal to be a world champion, and we haven't quite done it yet. So that's what keeps the fire burning. And that's what I'm working towards, and that's what I still believe I can do. And until I do that, I'll never stop trying.
We mentioned it earlier about all these fights that have been touted that Callum's been linked to, Joe. So, obviously fought against Shawnee Monahan. I think that was on the same show as Dimitri Bivol, and there was talk of, the winners kind of meeting. That was talked about. There was a European title fight. There was Joshua Buatsi. Why did it never happen? Why did it not come to fruition, these fights?
We don't know. I remember getting a phone call from Eddie just saying, would Callum Johnson be interested in fighting Bivol? I said, well, I'm about to see him in 10 minutes. I'm walking into the gym. I'll call you back. I said to Callum, I said, Bivol, how do you fancy it? And Callum just straight away went, yeah, when? And that's all you need to know about Callum Johnson. Yeah, when. Not how much, where, whatever, just yeah, when. And I phoned Eddie back and said, yeah, Callum Johnson said he'd take that. Yeah, get back in touch with me and let me know what happened. That never happened. And the Joe Smith one was another one that was supposed to have happened after the Monaghan. Joe Smith was supposed to happen in, was it May, June time, Callum?
Something like that.
Yeah, never materialised. And then obviously they said about Josh Buatsi. And we said to him after Buatsi's last performance, listen, we'll go straight into Josh Buatsi. We don't need a warm-up. We'll fight him in December on the AJ bill, but went all quiet on that. And it's just you've got to understand, I think Callum would be better placed than me, but what Callum said to me, he said, listen, I'm the number one light heavyweight in the country. I'm being treated like I'm a prospect, and Josh Buatsi is the number one. I'm the number one. I'm the proven fighter. I'm not being shown no respect whatsoever. And it's all like half. In our conversations that we have, I sense that it half pissed him off, and that everyone was waiting for Josh Buatsi to be ready to fight Callum instead of people pushing on with Callum's career and getting the world title. And I think that sort of like frustration is really what the straw that brought the camels back in the end, to be fair, Dev.
Do you think there was ever an element of, Buatsi, for example, let's take him. He's younger. He's on the come up. Do you think there was ever an element of, shall we wait for Callum Johnson to just get a little bit older before we take him on? He's 35 now. Should we wait till he's 36? Let's just wait him out a little bit, and maybe he won't be the same fighter.
Yeah, I think so. No, I can't think so. I think there's definitely an element of that, and I think the people that surround Buatsi are very careful in what they do with him, when they can fight, when he can train. Obviously, still links with McCracken and his commitments with the amateur team. So you've got that situation. But like you say, they tried it with Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas. I thought she was too old. And I think the same with him, Callum Johnson. Callum Johnson, he's 8 years in age, but there's no miles on the clock. And if everyone's banking on his age, then you just have to see what Kiko did at the weekend, Martinez. Do you know what I mean? It's boxing. If you look after yourselves, you're well, like you say, in the lockdown last year, Callum Johnson was flipping tyres for charity, cycling with Olympians and keeping himself busy. And if you look at his social media, he's always in the gym, he's always training. And that's what I'm so excited about. It's like, it may be what his age is, but I think he's 28, 29 in his prime, and anyone's banking on his age being a factor in this, has got to be a hugely proved wrong.
What level do you want to come back in at then, Callum? If Frank gives you a call tomorrow saying, we've got a show for you, it's going to be April. Are you ready to go? And do you want to come in, with a kind of welcome to Queensbury kind of fight, or do you want to get straight in there?
No, I mean, I don't want to come in with an easy fight. I mean, I'm ready to go. If Frank comes to me back in the March, April, I'm ready to go. And obviously it's down to Joe and Frank and George to sort out opponents, but obviously I'll be involved in that. But I'm ready. Whoever, I've got, we talk about our age, and yeah, I'm not an old 35. I'm young and fresh. My training shows me that. My times that I get show me that. But I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go with whoever.
Let's look at the British light heavyweight mix. Just we've got some great fighters over here. Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard. Obviously, Arthur just defeated Yard. Buatsi, Craig Richards, of course, the British champion. Where do you see yourself in that mix, or do you kind of see yourself above that level?
I see myself the best in the country. I think I'd beat them all. I've got to prove that again. I've proved myself to be the best in the country once, but I feel with the time out, I've probably got to prove myself again. But I think, like I say, this move is going to give me the chance to prove that. We're going to get the work and we're going to get the fights, but I've got ambitions to be a world champion, and I want to fight for them big world titles. Joe Smith's fighting for the WBO title. That's the fight that I'd love to get. That's the fight because I think that stylistically it makes a great fight. Both can punch, and I think the fans would like to see that one. And it's one I think I can win. So, but I'm just excited to be back now, and like you say, getting out, getting active, and having a good couple of years.
Yeah, Joe Smith, it's Joe, obviously the other Joe Gallagher has talked about that fight as well, and it's been mentioned in the past. Why such a focus on him? Obviously, it will be a real firefight, but are you really super confident of winning? Have you seen flaws in his style where you think, yeah, I'd exploit that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could beat anybody in the world on my day. But it's just, I don't know why that. I don't know why Joe. Maybe because it got mentioned and it was going to happen before, and it was stuck in my head then that I was going to fight him, and now it's looking like he's going to fight for the WBO, or he is going to fight for it, and hopefully he wins that, and that's obviously, I look at that as maybe the best route or the way to get to a world title fight. It's nothing. Like I say, it's far from personal to Joe Smith. I just see that as a good way to get to that world title fight again.
Joe, you must have had conversations with Frank about the route, planning, plotting. Is that what's kind of in mind here, pursuing a WBO world title?
Yeah, listen, any of them, even when Callum fought Beterbiev in the ring, when we were walking back to the corner, Callum saying, I can beat him. I want a rematch. There's not many fighters get out of the ring or Beterbiev saying they want a rematch. So that tells you all you need to know. But he's tied up. He's going in types of fights or unifications or somewhats. I think Beterbiev Bivol's a great fight. In the meantime, Joe Smith's well aware of the interest of Callum Johnson. They both fought on the same card. They both had pictures took together at the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And they got on well, and they both respect each other. Both humble kids, but both bring it in the ring. And that is the route. I think if Callum Johnson comes back, gets a good win, and then fights Joe Smith, wins the world title, I think Callum then would love to go into that unification then with a Beterbiev as a chance of a rematch, or bring that belt back to the UK and defend it against your Yardes, your Arthurs and whoever else. But to answer Callum's ring, Callum's the number one kid, and like I say, we've got to sit down and talk with Frank and George and hopefully plot that route back. And it's not something that Frank can't deliver. Frank's got a history of delivering world titles for his fighters. It's up to the fighters then, when Frank delivers the opportunity, they grab it with both hands, and I'm sure Callum Johnson will do that. Callum,
that Beterbiev fight, how much does it eat away at you, knowing you were, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this close?
Yeah, it's one of them. It's I have learnt to let it go a little bit now, but for a long time it did eat away at me, and as I said, I'd love to just live that second round again. Just let me live that second round again, and I'll take him out. But you got to give him credit as well, because he adapted and I never, and he got the job done. But it's a fight that, and a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I believe I could do it. I believe I've got the tools to do it. I believe I've got what it takes to do it. It's going to take a special kind of performance and a fighter that's got some serious strength and serious power behind him, which I've got. But he's the best in the division, and that's what we're all aiming for.
Joe, is your man an avoided fighter?
100%. You only have to look at his resume over the last 3 or 4 years. He won the Commonwealth title, which was a very good performance. Then after that, he was out of action for 18 months, come straight back in, didn't have a warm-up, and just ripped the British title away off Frank Buglioni within 1 round. Then was out of action for a while again. And then when Beterbiev wanted a defence, everybody in the top 10 avoided him. And it came to Callum Johnson, and Callum says, I'll take it. Then after the Beterbiev fight, it's same again. Who wants a bit of him? We said we'd defend the British belt against Boatse, but they said no, like, you need to move on from that level now. So they had the fight with Shawnee Monaghan, and on the back of that then, and Joe Smith losing, we thought, nah, that's a good fight to be made now. We've just won, he just lost and gave a good account of himself against Bivol. And it hasn't, and like you say, they're just waiting like a good racehorse, keeping him in the stables, not getting him out, just wanting him to hold overnight or let the young ones come through and catch up with them. But there's one thing that Callum Johnson's got, serious power. But not only that, though, he's a Commonwealth Games gold medalist. He's a good boxer, he's a good fighter, and we've not seen the best of Callum Johnson. Everyone that comes to the gym comes out of that gymnasium going, wow, I didn't think he was that good. And I can't wait for that Callum Johnson to turn up and show people when he fights.
What's the dream year for you then, Callum? If we sit down again this time next year, how would it have all taken place?
So back in, fighting, winning, and getting that world title fight, and be sat here in a year's time as a world champion, with 3 fights under my belt. But I'm not looking too far ahead. I'm just looking ahead to the next fight, getting that first one out of the way, and then going from there. But yeah, just a busy, active year, and either being a world champion or looking at fighting for a world title.
All right. Well, Joe, before I come to Callum for a final kind of message, any final words from yourself?
No, I think it's just great and exciting times, and it's a great start to the new year for Callum Johnson. It's time to roll out the classic, and like you say, 2021, it's good to have Callum Johnson back, an exciting punch boxer fighter in the light heavyweight division, and he's got to make some waves this year. I'm just really excited, and thank Queensbury for giving Callum Johnson the opportunity to be able to come back and show everyone how good he really is.
And Callum, what's the message then to the light heavyweights? And I'm sure they're watching this and they're thinking, oh, Callum Johnson's back. What's your message?
I'm back. I'm back, and I'm better than ever.
That is a real warning. Gents, welcome to Queensbury. Really happy to have you guys on board. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.